an incomplete revolution. 4. Patriot soldiers. Britain's policy of recruiting enslaved Africans terrified many African American slave owners. When the revolution began, enslaved Africans could not enlist in the Continental Army. Slave owners feared that the enslaved Africans might rebel if they were given guns. But as the need for soldiers grew, these African Americans, as well as enslaved Africans, were allowed to enlist. Between 5,000 and 7,000 African Americans joined the Continental Army. Some did so because they believed in the ideals of freedom and liberty. Jehu Grant, who fled slavery and joined the Patriots, remembered, "When I saw liberty poles and people engaged for sport of freedom, I could not but like and be pleased with such a thing." For enslaved Africans like Grant, the words of the Declaration of Independence had special meaning. "All men are created equal," proclaims the Declaration, with rights to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. However, the Continental Army was not true to their word, and Jehu Grant was returned to his master. For enslaved Africans who could get to Rhode Island, fighting for the Patriots brought freedom. In 1778, Rhode Island did not have enough white soldiers to send to the Continental Army. So the state declared that any enslaved African who volunteered for the Rhode Island Regiment would be set free. Many enslaved Africans responded to the call. One observer wrote, "3/4 of the Rhode Island Regiment consists of Negroes, and that meant that regiment is the most neatly dressed, the best under arms, and the most precise in its maneuvers." Many enslaved Africans did not win freedom by fighting for the Americans. Some northern slave owners sent the enslaved Africans they owned to fight in their place. In some states, the master would receive the enslaved African soldiers' pay or even be reimbursed, paid back, if his property were killed. Only in a few states did a master have to free an enslaved African before sending him to fight. Whatever their reason for joining the Patriots' cause, few African Americans were rewarded for their courage and bravery. At the Battle of Bunker Hill, Peter Salem reportedly killed an important British officer and became a hero. Salem Poor, a free African American man, showed extraordinary courage during battle. 14 officers asked Congress to give Poor the reward due to so great and distinguished a character. James Armistead was a servant to General Charles Cornwallis, leader of the British forces. Armistead also was a Patriot spy who reported everything he saw and heard to General Lafayette of the Continental Army. The information Armistead provided helped the Patriots defeat Cornwallis at the Battle of Yorktown, 1781, the final battle of the Revolution. On the recommendation of General Lafayette, the state of Virginia bought Armistead from his master and set him free. From that day on, he called himself James Armistead Lafayette. Highlight the box with the correct gist of Section 4 of An Incomplete Revolution. Is it that the British promised freedom to African American slaves who would fight for them? Or that some enslaved Africans joined the Patriot Army, the Continental Army, because they were forced, and others believed in freedom and independence? Remember to click the correct box, either this one or this one, for the gist, and then highlight using the background color.